This is Steven from IPFSForce community. Today I want to share with you about the data analysis of ProveCommitAggregate usage after HyperDrive upgraded in Filecoin network. Here I'm not showing about the pre-commit, because that one is quite easy. That will anyway save your cost of gas, if you use that the pre-commit batch. Here we're talking about the proof commit. I want to show you first. I want to show you the two pictures, which is from the filescan.io. One is about half 1 year, the base fee price variations, and the bottom one is about 3 days. As you can see, if we see the last half year, we see the base fee variation is very huge. You could say it could be higher as 5 lalo file, and after the HyperDrive upgraded, we can see it's keeps in a very reasonable level. It's around 0.15 lalo file, and seldom exceed 0.20 lalo file. It's quite stable. I think this is the first time for the Filecoin network to have the to have the gas base fee keep a very reasonable and a very stable level, and to make the service providers can really forecast their gas cost for the power growth, which is very good. And from the planning point of view and the finance point of view, it is a very good news for service providers and for the potential providers to join the Filecoin network. So, and after the HyperDrive upgraded, we see that the per day power growth is actually increased about 50%. So why the base fee is around 0.15 lalo file? Actually, this is by design. If you go to the FIP 13s, you could say that we have a parameter here, which is fixed, which is called the batch balancer, which is 2 lalo file. And if we adopt the ProveCommitAggregate message, and your batch gas fee is actually has to be equal or larger than this one. So this is an option for the service providers to consider if you'd like to take this approach. Actually, it depends on the status, the actual network base fee, and also your total power or your power growth rate. Here, so let's come to this table. This one, we actually take one example from the Filecoin notebook. I would say this is a real load. I'm not mentioning which node here, but this is a real one. We choose the data about the real load and to say, if this node only use proof commit, or it only use the ProveCommitAggregate. Okay, this node is actually about 600 petabytes power growth each day. If we say this one, you can say next page and on the right. It means the an origin line is actually, if this miner only do proof commit aggregate, so you could say that the origin line is almost keep the same, no matter the base fee is higher or lower, right? It's almost keep about 64 or 65 this level. But if this provider only take proof commit, it's about the blue line. As you can see, if you only take the proof commit, while the base fee is lower, and the gas cost for the power growth will be lower, and it will be higher when the gas price is higher. So we can say there's a there is a balance point which is about 1.13 nanofile. So for a miner, a reasonable decision will be if the price is higher than 0.13, it will take the proof commit and aggregate. If it's lower than 0.13, it will take the proof commit. So it's a reasonable decision for for people. So that's why we say that the gas fee base gas fee is kept the same. It's because the system is actually designed by this, and also it's a negative feedback system, and the miners will adjust it and to keep the base fee like this. And also, by the way, I want to mention, this the 64 gigabytes size provider. If it's a 32 gigabytes sector size provider, it will be a little bit different. It will be a little bit higher. It's about 0.15 to 19, something like this. It's almost not big difference. So let's come back to the network. We have done some statistics. So in the whole network, currently we have about 2,750 storage providers. And after scan all the providers, we say about only 770 providers adopt proof commit and aggregate messages. So only 30% of what providers did it, and all other 70% providers not ever tried aggregated proof commit yet. And we will also say it's a reasonable choice actually. And we also say all the top miners actually enabled aggregate proof commit, which means all providers which power is higher than 10 petabytes enabled aggregation. This is because the miner whose power growth is higher, they would like to take this because their gas cost is higher too. But I will say that this is the only factor most people consider right now. But there is also another factor. I think that is why the small providers even didn't try this. It's because there is one factor we need to consider is about the return. So if you delay, if you use the proof commit aggregate, actually you delay the return, which means your power growth will be later proved. So you will be you will delay, you broke because your power is not at the due level. So your block return will not at the due level. So I have done some math here. If you have 1 day delay of a 64 gig sector, you will about lose 0.00234 fail, which means that 1 day delay is actually likely equal to 0.059 nanofail base fee cost. So for small and medium providers, they will choose not to aggregate. Is because their power growth is not so fast. So if you use this, they will delay a longer time, and the rules about the block reward is also very high for them comparing to their their cost. Their cost. So this is also one thing people need to consider here. And another factor we need to consider is that the if we consider in long term, actually we will say that the initial pledge per sector currently is going down, but because we have the batch balancer fixed, so the gas burnt keeps the same. So if we do this, if we keep this, the gas cost portion might need to be revisited and adjusted later. But it's not right now. Perhaps after half a year or 1 year, we need to revisit this and adjust the batch balancer. This is one thing I want to mention here. And another thing we captured from the file scan.io, we said that from all the messages, if you count all the messages and to calculate the proof commit sector and the proof commit aggregate, the two messages is actually take about 95% gas. Which means that the proof actually also consumed the most of the network bandwidth. Which is also very significant. I would think that for long run, we need to think about this and continue to try to reduce this proportion in our network and to leave bandwidth for real deal and for real data storage and retrieval. So this is why the neutral project comes in. So this may not be on very top priority right now, but I would expect that this should be considered perhaps in half year or in 1 year. Okay. That's all I want to share here, and I want to remind all the providers and all the developers about from my point of view. By the way, I'm from Force. We are a Web3 infrastructure service provider, and the IPFS Filecoin is our main major area we're working on and promote the whole ecosystem. Thanks for your time.